Hey, it's Gids. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to be revisiting one of my favorite games, something I used to play at those Walmart game centers when I was a teen before the game came out, constantly hurting my neck just doing combat challenges, wishing I could play the actual game. This game has phenomenal voice acting, characters, and the gameplay holds up surprisingly well for its age. So today I'm using the challenge run as an excuse to go back and play Batman Arkham Asylum. Turns out Batman, in his spare time between being a menace to all HVAC workers in Gotham, has taken up playing the Dark Souls games. He now understands that blocking and countering is for losers, and dodge rolls are where it's at. Obviously getting hit also makes you a loser, so we will be trying to complete the game without getting hit, as well as never using a counterattack. A couple of things to note: if I ever take damage, my health bar will appear in the top left, so whenever I finish a fight, if you can't see my health bar, that means I didn't take any damage. If I do take damage or accidentally press Y, which is not hard to do, I immediately reset to the nearest checkpoint. I'll keep track of the harder fights and let you know how many attempts they took. If this video is entertaining, consider liking and subscribing, it would mean a lot. And if you have any ideas, let me know. The game starts as we take the Joker back to prison, where he definitely will not escape this time. After he escapes, we make our way into the holding area to try out some combat. It isn't very difficult at this point, mostly it's hard for me not to press counter when I see the icon, and I can't unbind the controller buttons, so we're just stuck having to use self-control. I make my way through, taking out Zaz with a kick, and make my way to a contaminated room to rescue people trapped inside, even this guy. I find Joker and he releases a mutant, but remember that Batman has been playing Dark Souls, so we don't even give this guy the dignity of looking at him. We just dodge him a few times and he dies out of respect. We perform a few takedowns and make our way to the first stealth challenge in the game. Probably won't show much of these throughout the run, they're not much different than normal. We take out a few armed enemies and make our way to the Batmobile, which is currently being trashed. After taking these men out, we grab some explosive gel from the trunk and begin tracking down Gordon, who has been kidnapped by Harley Quinn. Beat up some more men and make our way inside. Harley tells us to leave, so we do. We make our way inside through the roof and make our way to the hospital, where we have another stealth area. This part goes normally again, with me using inverted takedowns as much as I can, because I enjoy them. We set off to rescue a few more doctors. We definitely don't kill this henchman by dropping him in the gas. We rescue the second doctor, who is stuck in a strange dentist chair, and then beat up a large group of enemies with relative ease. We find the last doctor guarded by 4 henchmen who have been told to shoot her if they see me, so we blow them up, non-lethally of course. She feigns ignorance as to why they might want to capture her, so we head back to continue on our trail to save Gordon. Some more inverted takedowns and we get into the elevator. Someone farts inside the elevator and this messes up Batman pretty bad. He starts seeing his dead parents, and we find ourselves in Scarecrow's world, where one glance will kill us. We blast him with light to make our way to Gordon, who is being guarded by a few more henchmen who are incredibly easy to take out in succession for some random reason. We get the drop on Harley, quite literally. Rescue Gordon and make our way downstairs, where we find Bane roped up by the good doctor. She's been sucking out his steroids and using them for her experiments. Joker goes ahead and gives him an extra dose of the Liver King's secret sauce, and we have ourselves a fight. Basically, you just throw batarangs at him and dodge, which isn't too bad, but dealing with his henchmen without a counter proves to be pretty difficult, ends up taking us 2 attempts. We launch Bane into the river by running him over with a car. non-lethally of course, make our way to the secret Batcave I have on the island, and start analyzing the Liver King's secret sauce. We grab the Bat Claw, take out a few snipers, beat up some guys on the ground, take out some more snipers on a different building, and make our way into Arkham Mansion. Once inside, we have some more practice on a group or two of enemies, which goes pretty well. The current strategy is just to play it safe and jump over any enemies when I'm supposed to counter, which usually works, although iframes for jumping are not as generous as they are for countering, so we get hit a few times. We cut down a chandelier on top of some enemies that we just knocked out, non-lethally of course, and save some hostages. More stealth missions. They now have collars that alert their friends when we take them out, which doesn't really matter much for us. I freed some more hostages and made my way to the good doctor's office. We grab her fingerprints so we can find her notes. Find them in the room with the definitely alive henchman pinned under the chandelier, and get our second dose of stink from the HVAC guys, who are probably just trying to get revenge on us for breaking hundreds of their vents. We have a harrowing vision of our past, and make our way to the second encounter with Scarecrow. This goes about the same as the last. We use our tools to sneak past him, up to the top where we shine our light on him. These are relatively easy, but I always like them for their uniqueness. I've never seen a game do a stealth section like this before. We cause some more property damage, probably killing someone below again, and go to save the good doctor again. From Zaz, who has a hostage. Again. She admits having the notes, and then falls for the classic mimic chest moment. Skill issue. We encounter our first enemy with a taser, which we cannot attack from the front, which will prove more difficult later on in the run. For now, we take out his friends and give him the old hop around. We run into Poison Ivy, who begs us to let her out. Her plants are apparently dying. We don't offer to water them or anything, and we just kind of continue on our way. We find
What an idiot! You'll never escape!
Harley doubles back and frees Poison Ivy for kicks and giggles, and Joker lets out all the crazy inmates. We have a fun brawl on top of the loony bin, where we basically just punch guys who are trying to get guns out of safes. It only took me 2 tries. The first one was just me being impatient, to be honest. We end up using our Steam Deck to rescue some hostages that Harley left hanging, and disarm a bomb on our way out. I thought the psychos would be a bigger problem than they ended up being, since you're supposed to counter them when they jump at you, but if you just dodge roll, they go flying and you can finish them on the ground. Now comes the biggest wall for me in the challenge, the fight against Harley. She sends out multiple waves of enemies and the floors electrify in a pattern throughout the whole fight. It wasn't hard to stay off the area that was being electrocuted. The hard part was that you have no iframes while vaulting, so I got hit multiple times trying to jump to safety, as well as the fight not being particularly easy due to the cramped space and amount of enemies. It gets hard when you can't counter anyone and you have to keep on jumping over people. I had mistakenly upgraded my Steam Deck instead of getting finishers, and I regretted it the entire time I was trying to clear this area. I spent 30 minutes here, and I made 18 attempts before I ended up getting it. Luckily, Batman countered Harley in the cutscene, and we threw her in a cage, locking her out for the rest of the game. We dodge and take out a bunch more psychos on our way to Joker's secret lab. They aren't too bad, but it does get a bit tedious. Another stealth section where I abuse a funny mechanic and pull enemies off a ledge, non-lethally of course. We fight through some enemies to turn off the power and foil Joker's plan before he can enact it. Nice, regular, non-electrified water, idiot. We have a fun stealth section where you have to take out the operator in the tower before you can knock out anyone else. After finishing them off, we unlock a secret wall that Joker somehow had managed to build at some point without anyone's knowledge inside a maximum security prison. We make our way inside and Joker injects some henchmen with the secret sauce. I find this fight to be a lot of fun because you get to ride them into each other to deal extra damage, which is super gratifying. I did get hit once just being clumsy, but other than that it was not too bad. We ask Poison Ivy for help creating an antidote and tell her to go back to her room. It's past her bedtime. We literally clothesline an entire group of enemies and proceed to absolutely annihilate them. Another day, another stealth section, hanging everyone upside down and then dropping them on their necks. Non-lethally, of course. Ivy gets some secret sauce from the Joker and puts annoying pods around the asylum that shoot homing spores at us. They more just slow us down than actually threaten us. We come across a larger group of enemies. These fights are getting a bit more difficult. The enemy variety is higher, and more I'm feeling the effects of not being able to counter any attacks. Although after the Harley fight, none of these seem too horrible. We make our way inside. They have now booby-trapped the gargoyles, which seems to work pretty well. Again, I mostly just have fun taking these enemies out in whatever way I want. This isn't any more difficult than normal, although I do seem to encounter some odd enemy AI behavior from time to time. We get gassed for the third time and it crashes our computer, which honestly really freaked me out back when I played this on the Xbox as a teen. But now I'm a PC gamer, so nothing can make my games crash. We start playing as Joker and promptly shoot Batman right in the face, and that's the end of the game. However, Batman, being too angry to die, gets out of his grave and we complete the third and final area against Scarecrow. This one had combat at the end, which I did mess up once, but it really wasn't that bad. We chase down Scarecrow, taking out some groups of enemies along the way without too much trouble. We find Scarecrow threatening to dump his fear gas into the Gotham River, which would probably be more sanitary than whatever's in there currently, but instead he gets grabbed by Killer Croc, and we make our way into Killer Croc's lair to fetch the antidote. Even now, this area of the game puts me a little bit on edge. I only messed up once, and that was because I thought you could quick throw a boomerang at him. You can't. Still though, any misstep in this area could be your death, and overall I think it's another reason I like this game so much. After retrieving the spores for the antidote, we complete a Sonic Adventure mission and make our way to the exit, where we totally prank Killer Croc by blowing him up. Non-lethally, of course. We fight through a few more enemies and make our way to the Batcave to craft an antidote. But after we make a conveniently small amount of one antidote, Ivy breaks into our lab and busts the gaming PC. No more Dark Souls for Batman. This of course will not stand, so we make our way to exact our revenge on Poison Ivy. We run into some enemies and stand near an edge. We pull them down by hooking giant claws in their chest and dropping them onto a stone 20 feet below. Non-lethally, of course. Some more combat and stealth to stop the pumps from sending Joker's secret sauce into Gotham, and we make our way to the second big wall of the game for me, the elevator fight. This area is small. The elevators keep sending more henchmen every time you try to clear the room. I tried focusing the big guy, but got quickly overwhelmed by the henchmen. I tried clearing out all the henchmen first, but they would corner me in a way where I'd either have to dodge the big guy or dodge a punch, and I couldn't do both without a counterattack's iframes. I did discover that you have some pretty generous iframes when jumping over an enemy, and I discovered in a heartbreaking way that my dodge roll did not have any iframes. Honestly, I don't know what happened there. I had to pause and take a few seconds for myself. I got hit 6 times, but on the 7th time I took out the Titan and mistakenly thought the fight was over. Luckily the monkey brain won out and I dodged instinctively. I made my way to Ivy to get revenge for my gaming PC, to a fight that I thought would be a lot harder than it was. I discovered that your quick batarangs do a little bit of damage to her at any point during the fight, so I used the triple batarang to knock her health down when I wasn't supposed to, and this fight only ended up taking me 4 tries. Plus, if you make it halfway through the fight, it saves your progress, which is pretty nice. Joker's party is finally ready for us, so he invites us over. We beat up everyone outside, even though they weren't hostile, and make our way inside. Everyone in this hallway is a little bit too cheery, so we beat them up too, earning ourselves the Party Pooper achievement, which I thought was pretty funny. Inside we find the Joker, who unleashes his 2 titans on us, as well as a host of other henchmen. I thought this fight was fun because you get to use everything we've learned, and at this point I'm not even thinking of trying to counter anyone. It did take me 5 tries to beat this part, but that was honestly just a skill issue, plus it was about 1:30 a.m. at this point and I was getting a little bit tired. After finishing him off, Joker attempts to shoot Gordon with the secret sauce. We dramatically dive in front, taking the shot ourselves. Joker tries to get us lost in the sauce, but we resist. He takes the shot himself and transforms into Giga Joker. We heroically take the antidote ourselves, the only one, and get ready to fight him. Honestly, this fight is a little bit strange and has definitely been featured on some of those worst boss fights in video games ever type videos, but every game has its imperfections. Joker doesn't really want to fight you in this state, he just kind of takes a couple swipes at you and then goes up on a ledge and waves at a helicopter. You just grab him, punch him a few times, and he goes back up again. I got hit once by a swipe, but that was it. After that, we line our glove with explosive gel and punch Giga Joker right in his smug face, ending the game and proving once and for all that you can beat Batman Arkham Asylum without ever using a counterattack and without getting hit. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, it would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you in the next video.